and to bring you your fix of everything related to the Montreal Canadiens. Two men who could seriously use an intervention. Your source of Habs talk, right from the rock. Right from the rock.
Hello, Canada, hockey fans, United States, and Newfoundland.
Hockey Junkie and GK.
Okay guys, welcome to Season 2, Episode number 11 of the Fix Podcast. My name is Matt. Some people call me Hockey Junkie. Some people call me an idiot, Gary. And joining me today is my co-host Gary, who doesn't really have a nickname yet, but any day now it's going to happen.
I've been called lots of stuff too, including an idiot, and I never call you an idiot, Junkie, that's for sure.
Well,
Not to your face.
I'm sure you're one of the nice ones. You're one of the nice ones, man. Gary, you know what we're going to do today?
What?
We're going to dive right into the Cowman year, man. Head first. Jake Allen traded away.
Oh, yeah.
That's the big one. That
is the big news.
Huge topic of the day. Jake Allen gets traded for a conditional third-round pick. Could be a second-round pick.
Could be.
I mean, it wasn't too bad of a deal, man. I'm surprised they even moved him.
100%. Well, we talked about it the other day, and we like, if you can get a third rounder for Jake Allen, you're doing all right. And I mean, at the end of the day, they had to retain 50% to get it. But to me, like, they waited till I made a comment on, I forget who, it was Matt Drake had a post up about, like, you know, what do you think of this deal and the timing of it. It was like, he waited till the last minute. I feel like the deal with the Devils was probably in place forever. And I think Hughes waited until he made sure he didn't have anything else to use that retention spot on. And when he didn't, he pulled the trigger, and you get a third rounder back, maybe a second rounder if he plays. He's got to play 40 games next season, and the Devils have to make a playoff spot in order for it to become a second-round pick. But if it does become a second-round pick, when you look at the market, it's a steal, man.
It is.
Tyler Toffoli got, what, a second and a third back?
Yeah.
And they retained on him, didn't they?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and you get a third for Jake Allen, who's we wanted to get rid of all year and needed to get rid of. I mean, absolutely needed. So pretty much a gun to your head for Kent Hughes, and he still manages to get a third-round pick back for him. And, you know, it's any return, anything at all. If it had been a fifth-round pick and they had to move them out of town, like I said, especially last minute when they weren't going to use that retention spot on anything else, I was happy with it. So.
Oh, yeah, me too. Hughes was wheeling and dealing, man. Like, I didn't think he was going to do anything.
He's super patient.
Yes.
And someone said, like, sometimes he can be over-patient. You know, like, Josh Anderson comes to mind when they talk about, like, oh, he should have pulled the trigger on moving Josh Anderson when he had offers. Maybe if he had offers, we don't know for sure. But to me, it's like when you're playing poker, man. You sit, like, your way of approaching stuff, and everyone knows how you're going to approach it. So they don't call your bluff, you know? And in this case, you know, they got to know that you're going to go all in and you really got the cards and you got, you know, the fortitude to kind of stick with it. And he showed that if you don't give me what I want, then I'll hold on to my players, even if it's at my detriment. You know, at the end of the day, this is my market value and I'm going to get it, or you can go shopping somewhere else. And in this case, I think it kind of paid off for sure. Now, I mean, if you had dealt Jake Allen at the first 3 weeks of the season, maybe you get a third rounder back for him and you don't have to retain. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I think it's hard to be unhappy with Monahan out of town for a first and a conditional third. Conditional third? Yeah. If they win the cup, we get a third round pick as well. Yeah. And then, you know, Jake Allen for another third rounder, maybe a second round pick. So I'm happy enough with it. So
it was a pretty big day for Habs fans. It was a pretty big day around the NHL. Really big day for Caden Primo and Samuel Montembeault. I mean, Montembeault's got his knit now, and Caden Primo can finally come out of the shadows and play a scatter game.
Absolutely.
It's huge.
And, like, if you look back at it, say towards the end of the next season, and Primo, you know, plays a full kind of backup load, shall we say, this was a nice transition season for him. You know, like, there wasn't a pile of pressure on him. He could come in. If he had a bad game, he had lots of time to rest. I mean, maybe he could have got a few more reps, but he didn't get thrown to the wolves. You know, there was lots of wiggle room for him. And now next year, he'll have a little bit more pressure and he'll have a little bit more of a workload, and we'll see what he does with that. So it's a nice little kind of transition season for him. So you might look back on this, you know, 5 years from now and say, well, you know, it was a good transition season for him. And you might not too, I don't know, but I think it'll be interesting to see what he does with it now. Like if they split or go, like I said, you know, a 60-40 split for the rest of the season, it'll be interesting to see how Primo reacts now that the monkey's off, everyone's back. You know, the elephant's out of the room.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I think too we got like Jake Allen, what a guy, and we talked about it even when we wanted to trade him. How how nice of a guy he was.
Yeah.
How he, like, just a class act, how he handled the situation. And I think St. Louis had a quote there. Someone wrote it there the other day. I think it was Mark Demant, or it could have been Arpen Basu. And they said, like, Jake Allen's kind of guy, he plants the trees knowing that he's never going to sit in the shade, you know what I mean? Like, that was his quote. And it's true. Like, he knows that he's part of the building process now, but he's never going to be there when the team is competitive. But he was a consummate professional. So, best of luck to Jake Allen. You know, I know you're listening to this, buddy. I don't know what the Devil's podcast is called, but they definitely won't live up to our expectations. So, sorry about that.
No.
I mean...
Yeah, all the best to Jake Allen. Man, just stand up guy. Never seemed to complain. Great backup for Carey Price. Gave us a lot of good games too, Jake Allen. I feel like this season, having the 3 goaltender system was probably had the biggest negative impact on Jake Allen of all of them.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
It's like I said, Matt DeBow was never used to being a starter anyways, you know? And he essentially played the same, a little bit more than what a backup would have played. So he probably played more games, and I haven't looked at it, but more games than he's ever played before. Primo never played any workload in NHL before, so he kind of got eased in. But Allen was the guy who was playing less than ever and more uncertainty, and he knew he had a target on his back for being shipped out of town all season, and he still performed. I mean, like I said, it had a little bit of a negative impact on his performance for sure. But just like outside of the hockey piece, he handled it so well. You know, like in the public, in the media. And I mean, Montreal is media crazy. Like, they're looking for a sound clip. They're looking for something to cling on to, anything at all. And neither one of the goalies give him a bite. So, I mean, it's impressive. I think it's very impressive. It speaks to the leadership in the room and to the environment within the organization right now. So, good for them.
Yeah. And you know what? You mentioned Josh Anderson earlier, and you made my skin crawl, man. Josh Anderson really let me down since our last podcast.
Did not let me down.
You bid for him to score a goal, man. Anderson. And he scored the first game.
I was like... And then it went like off his ass or something. Then they're off his thing. Like, he was celebrating hard. You knew it was his.
Oh, yeah.
And then they took it away from him, give it to Caulfield. And then they give it back to him again.
And then you phoned the Bell Center. You complained.
It was like, come on, boys. That clearly went off to Anderson.
I think the reason why Anderson was so excited is because he knew I was down.
He junkie again. He couldn't score against the Leafs the other night, but he fucked you over.
Unreal, man. You know something?
He's only scored 1 goal in his last...
600 games.
Something like that. It was the day after I bet that he would score.
You know something though? Bit of a hot take about Josh Anderson, because everybody's been ripping on him all season long. Everybody was talking about how he should have been traded last season. You know what? There's a lot of weight to that. I mean, I can agree to a certain extent, but and yeah, he's having a terrible season. But when I look at the contract situation, you know, everybody compares Josh Anderson's to Brendan Gallagher's contract. Man, these are 2 different players. Like,
100%.
Next season, I can see Josh Anderson completely turning it around, and all of a sudden people are saying, you know, he's valuable again.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like, I can see that happen. He's only young, man.
He's streaky is the thing. It's just this streak has been going on for a long time. It's in his head, man.
Yeah.
You see, there was a couple games there when he kind of had a choke. He scored about 2. It was back to back, but there was a period of time there. Once he went forever and never scored, and then he popped one. I was like, all right, maybe he's back to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And he's still doing a lot of things that used to make him successful. Like, he's skating hard, and he's going straight lines, and he's taking the puck to the net. But the worst luck I've ever seen in the player. Like, he hit a post again against Leafs the other night, and it's just like, and he always scores against Leafs.
I know.
He must be like, if I can't score against Leafs, I might as well retire right now.
Oh yeah, he's not feeling very good.
No.
I've been ripping on him all season long too, but I mean,
he's an easy target.
When I really sit back and like think about it, I can see him. I think he's looking forward to this offseason more than anyone, just to get this one over.
Just to get it over with, man.
Yeah.
Get through. I'd like to see Josh Anderson go play. I don't know if he's healthy enough, but go play at the Worlds and, like, you know,
that'd be cool.
Just get a bit of momentum in his game, and like you said, I mean, if he comes back next season and bounces back a little bit, your top 6, your top 9 is better. I mean, there's no doubt about it. When Josh Anderson's playing well, he's an effective hockey player who can impact the game in a bunch of ways. You know, he's big, he's strong, he scores goals, he takes the puck to net. There was a reason they traded for him.
Yeah.
And you know, when we played in the playoffs that last year, that first year, like, he showed you why he was valuable. And I think even to a lot of teams, they'll still remember that too. Like, if he has a decent season next year, and Montreal does decide, you know, we're going to move away from him, there are teams who are going to be in a playoff spot who are going to be thinking, I remember what this guy looked like in the playoffs, and it was scary. So you never know.
Yeah.
The other guy they traded for, Montreal traded for, was Jacob Perreault.
Yeah, I forgot about that one.
They traded Jan Mysak for Perreault. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't know, man. I'm still disappointed about losing Mysak. The meme is gone.
I know.
Like, it's terrible.
He drafted Luke Tuck. Was it Luke Tuck? Or Alex? No, yeah, Luke Tuck.
Yeah, Luke Tuck.
Tuck and Mysak back to back in the drafts. I mean, come on.
Bergevin's got a sixth sense
of humor. But I mean, I like what Mysak brought, and I think that he was penciled in, like, his ceiling, absolute ceiling, was a third liner. Like, that was it. That was as high as he was going to go, I think.
Yeah. At
any level. Kind of a heart and soul kind of guy. But Montreal's got a pile of those guys. We got a cupboard full of the guys who could play on the second or third and fourth line. We don't have anybody, or not a lot of people, and we talked about this bunch, with like elite offensive skill. And Perreault, even though he hasn't showed a lot of it, like, that's one thing he does have. He can shoot the puck.
Yeah.
And so if he can kind of change the scenery, makes a difference for him. His ceiling's a lot higher. Like, he's a guy who, if he figures it out, could play in your top six and be effective, or could be like a power play specialist, those type of things. Whereas Mysak was never going to be that. So it's one of those things where it's a sideways move, maybe, or it could be a positive. They trade a guy who got a higher floor for a guy with a higher ceiling, and they got lots of floors in Montreal, so we don't worry about it.
Do they ever? His dad, Yannick Perreault, played for the Canadiens too.
Yeah, so there's history there. Yeah. And his brother Gabe got drafted last year by Buffalo? No, Washington? Washington, I think. We'll look it up. Yeah. Anyways, and I mean, great hockey player. Man, he's looking like he might be a steal from that draft too, right? Because he ended up going into the 20s. I think most people had him pegged going a little bit higher than that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, and I mean, Jacob Perreault was picked in the 20s too, right?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean, he was, when you look back at his draft profile, it was like he could be the best shooter in the draft.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you go from, I mean, obviously there's a bunch of aspects. You got to get close enough to the net to shoot it, but still, if you got that, I mean, Michael Ryder made a career out of shooting the puck.
Yeah,
couldn't skate for beans, or just good enough. Yeah. But if you get in the puck within 20 feet of the net, he was scoring, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, if you can score goals, everything else doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything else can be kind of compensated for some way.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Around the league at the deadline too, there was, Vegas using that LTIR. Holy shit! Like, just taking full advantage. Vegas is going to be a wagon again in the playoffs. How do you feel about that though? Like, do you think that the league should do something like maybe make the salary cap for the playoffs too? Like
more fixed? From what I've heard is that there's no appetite by any of the GMs to do that. I think that's the thing. Like, they brought it up and they were like, "No, we're good."
That's weird, though.
Yeah, but I think they like the flexibility of it, and they like cause where else do you have flexibility? I mean, there's a hard cap in the NHL. All the other sports with caps it's a joke. Like, baseball is a joke. Salary cap is like, okay, well, you can go over, but you're just gonna pay a fine or a luxury tax or something like that. So it's like there really is no cap. It's just a way to spread out revenue around the league, really.
Yeah.
So I think the teams like it. I mean, the year we lost to Tampa in the first round, Kucherov came off LTIR, and they were essentially $18 million over the cap.
I know,
man. That sucked from our perspective. I think what you need to do is there needs to be a better oversight on, like, the injury side of things. You know what I mean? Like, if someone's actually injured and use that, I mean, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
But if someone's miraculously better on the first day of Stanley Cup playoffs, then it's something a bit iffy there. So I don't know about changing the rules around LTIR, but maybe changing the rules about returning from play if you've been off on LTIR all season. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if a guy's gone all year, maybe he's not eligible to play the playoffs, or he misses so much or something like that. So that way, at least you're not getting. You might be able to fill his shoes with good players, but you don't get your superstar back on the first day of playoffs. Plus, eat up all his salary for the rest of the season to get you there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I could see the Canadiens doing something like that with Christian Dvorak.
He's always hurt.
Jeff Gordon going up to him with a baseball bat. Hey, Christian.
Come here.
I could see that happening.
So I don't know, like, when it happens against your team, it's a pain in the ass, obviously. Yeah. And then when your team can utilize it, it's a godsend. So I don't know. Like I said, to me, it's the Kucherov thing. The other thing is that Tampa finished first place that year and did it all without their best player.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to be a good hockey team to lose a really good player and still be competitive, too. So there's two sides to it. Like Vegas being competitive without their captain and then getting them back for the playoffs. So plus. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Yeah. I think, who would you say if you were going like winners and losers on draft day, or not draft day, at the at the trade deadline. I mean, obviously Vegas, big winner. They got they got Hurdle, and who else did they get there?
They made a lot of noise.
Hurdle was the big one.
Yeah,
and
last minute too.
Yeah, right. Dan. It's San Jose retained on Hurdle 6 years, so their retention stats is gone
too,
for
man.
like 6 years retained. That's a long time to be retaining salary, man.
Did Mike Greer fall down the steps that morning or what?
And I mean, they got a decent return for it, but like to me, you could have waited to the off season.
That's a long time.
And not had to retain on them and got probably the same exact deal. I mean, at the deadline, you had to retain if you wanted to get anyone to bite on them because, well, those teams are competitive. They can't eat up that much salary. So it was weird.
Mike Greer basically let him shit in their toilet. Let him shit in his toilet and then he wiped his ass before he left, man.
Seems like it. I don't know. So to me, Vegas is a winner. Who else would you put down as a winner on the trade deadline?
Winnipeg Jets.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the team that comes to mind just because I like all the moves they made. Colin Miller, dip trade. Tyler Toffoli was a big one. They already got Sean Monahan. They're the Habs alumni team now, man. Out of nowhere.
And like they got Toffoli for beans, man. In my opinion, like he's like 30. He's going to be scored 30 goals again this season. Been looking good all year. It's not like he was falling off or anything like that. And so they had a 30-goal scorer in him, and then a 20-goal guy who can play in every situation in Monahan. And I mean, they were already a wagon before Monahan came over. So and their defense is solid. I like them.
I hope they do good in the playoffs. I do. The Canucks too. Like I don't know. I like the Canucks team. The Leafs not so much. Like I just hate the Leafs. I always did. I think
the Leafs. If you look at what other teams have done, and the holes that they had, like look at the Vegas hockey team. They already had a solid team. Like the defense was fairly solid. Forward group was maybe a bit thin with injuries, but like they brought in a pile. And a team like Winnipeg, same thing. Like already a solid roster, kind of rolling a bit of a wagon. They bring in a pile. And then the Leafs trade for Lyubushkin and Joel Edmondson.
Yeah.
So two guys who don't move the needle a whole lot on the back end.
No.
Like to me, if they were going to make a move on the back end, you need a top two defenseman who can move the puck.
Yeah. So
they brought in a couple guys who are arguably middle six, bottom six defensemen who give you some depth, but definitely don't move the needle where you need it to be. They do nothing to shore up their depth offense, which is like, all right, Bertuzzi and Domi have been scoring lately, but you bank on that in the playoffs and just no insurance there at all. And nobody with like any high end skill whatsoever. And I know they got a lot of skill anyways, but it was just weird. And I mean, other teams around the league are doing it, so there got to be a way to do it, and they just didn't. So
I got no faith in that Leafs team at all, man. They've been choking since forever. And now, like with the additions that they made, like you said, it doesn't move the needle very much at all.
That's me.
And I don't know if you noticed, but when they lost a couple of games to Boston, they looked pretty bad, and then they played the Canadiens a couple of nights ago, and man, like the Habs lineup was shit.
Absolutely.
They had no business being in that game, but. I mean, the Leafs didn't do much. And on my game review, too, it was kind of funny, right? I seen one guy leave a comment, and he was like, yeah, but Marner wasn't playing. I was like, man, are you really going to play that card with me? Like, freak off, man.
Yeah, because the Montreal's line is stacked, right?
Like, man, the injuries that the Canadiens have and every team have. Like, if one guy going down is going to do that, and that's not the case because they played like shit a couple of nights before that against Boston, too.
Absolutely.
I just don't see him doing much.
And they're riding, like, Samsonov, their goaltending is playing well right now. Like, they're riding high on a goaltending situation that, I mean, and he might stay hot for the playoff run. I don't know. But
I hope not.
If I was a betting man, it's not where, if I was doing a beer bet of the week, I wouldn't put it on Ilya Samsonov putting up above 900 save percentage in the playoffs with that defense in front of him.
No.
I just wouldn't. And I hope he doesn't. I hope it all crumbles around him.
Oh, me too, man.
And it probably will. There's one thing you can rely on the Leafs for: shit in the bed at the right times.
Is it glorious? It's good stuff, ain't it?
The New York Rangers drafted Jacob Perreault.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they needed more talent in their system.
I got lost after David Reinbacher got drafted. I just like I went.
Brain just shut down.
Yeah, everything just went Windows 95 mode. It was bad. Still need a Windows update.
One other team that we didn't talk about, if we're going to talk about the draft, is Colorado. Like, Colorado plugged some holes in their lineup too, man. Like, they traded for Casey Middlestad up the middle. They traded Byron for Middlestad, which I thought was like
That was a freaky trade.
That was it for like.
That was kind of what I wanted to see the Canadiens do.
Exactly.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, when I seen that, I was like, man, that's exactly the kind of move.
Like, Byron's got a high pedigree. Like, he was supposed to be really, really good.
Yeah.
But he hasn't played fantastically. We got 3 defensemen who played better than him this season, really, at least.
Yeah.
And a team like Colorado getting Middlestad was huge. But Middlestad for us is not the answer. But, man, he could have added to the depth for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think a lot of fans will look at it and say, well, why are you getting a better center when you want to be getting worse at the draft or whatever? You know, there would have been people who didn't like it. But if you could trade a 1-for-1, one of our left-handed defensemen, you know, depending on who, of course, and get Middlestad back to shore up your center ice position, like,
would have been neat.
That's solid, man.
Yeah.
But they got him, and who else? They picked up another guy as well. But they went from kind of having not a lot of center depth to having really good center depth all of a sudden, and they were already awesome. So, I mean...
I know, man. Scary team. I can see him winning the cup.
Wouldn't surprise me at all. Well, there's lots of teams out west. It's funny how the league kind of flip-flops too, right? Like, the East a few years ago was a beast. The Leafs, the Lightning, the Bruins, all the best teams were, like, it was no doubt that someone from out of the East was going to win the cup.
Yeah.
And now you got Vancouver's a wagon all of a sudden. Winnipeg's a wagon. Colorado looks really good.
Yeah.
LA's after falling off recently.
What do you make about Pierre-Luc Dubois? As soon as you said LA, I just had to stop you right away.
Oh, man.
I can't believe that, man.
It's
so
nuts.
apparently they were trying to shop him at the deadline.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like
Did he call Montreal, I wonder?
Oh my God! I hope Kent Hughes didn't even pick up the phone. That number better be blocked.
He was like, click.
Man, he's got a big contract, and like, there's got to be something wrong with this guy, man. He's got to be like cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Something, man.
Yeah,
something. I don't know.
It's not good.
Well, like, for what they gave up for him, and then for Winnipeg to be like rolling like they are,
yeah.
And the guys they got back for Dubois are playing a big role in that, and for Dubois to be there and just be like shit in the bed completely.
Yeah,
you know, unless they get the ball, and they won't make the playoffs, but unless he makes like a big impact in the playoffs or pulls like what we're hoping for Josh Anderson and just kind of gets out of his head and does well,
and that can happen.
It could. I mean, you don't forget how to play hockey overnight. He was a good hockey player last year.
Yeah.
Man, oh man, it's going to look horrible if he doesn't turn it around. It's long term. It's a pile of money. And right now, he's playing like a third liner at best.
Man, and last year, like, 2 of us are guilty.
Oh, 100%.
Like, we were on the Dubois bandwagon,
yes,
like, forgetting him. But, like...
But there was a price. Like, I wouldn't have paid what LA paid to get him.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, they gave up a paw for him. And for me, it was like he wanted to come to Montreal. And only Montreal is what he made it sound like. And if you could say, well, this is what we're offering you, take it or leave it, then I would have done it in a heartbeat.
Man.
But I wouldn't have sold the farm for him.
No, there's a 0% chance now that I would target him now. Like, after all these teams, like, he just can't make it work. My
75% retained.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, 90%.
4-team trade. It's just like, we'll trade you here, and here. By the time we get you, you're paying him like $1 million. I'd pay $1 million for him.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Then he turns it around.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know, man. But, like, apparently there was a deal in place with Boston. That's what the rumor is. I don't know if you've seen that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, apparently it was a goaltender, maybe Swayman or someone. I can't remember. And plus more.
Wow.
That's what they were saying on Twitter now. I don't know, but you know what Twitter's like.
I mean, if you're LA, that makes a lot of sense. LA's goaltending they were getting some decent goaltending, but they got no names there to be giving them that kind of goaltending. You know, like it's kind of like the Toronto's thing. You're getting goaltending, but is it sustainable? Yeah. And if you're Boston, well, you got to hope that leadership group is the key to Dubois and like being able to turn him around and be like, listen, guys, this is how we do it here.
Man,
I wouldn't bet on it.
He's chasing Galchenyuk. Dubois.
Oh man.
For most teams.
That's crazy, hey?
It is.
You had told me that he wasn't going to live up to expectations this year. I might have been like, yeah, all right, fine. But to play the way he's playing right now, like...
And there's got to be a problem, too, for another team to be... If they were actively trying to move him, there's a problem besides this play.
Well, at this point, man, to be. It's got to be.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, absolutely. It's got to be more than just what's going on the ice. He's got to be something wrong with the kid.
He's been pissing in people's drawers. Something like... He's been shitting in the urinal.
He's wearing his Habs jerseys around in the dressing room.
Imagine if it came out and that's why everybody hates him.
Wearing Habs underwear on or something.
Showed up with a black eye from Jack t-shirt.
Absolutely, that's what happened.
At practice. We'll stick with that. Speaking of t-shirts, what do you think of this one?
I love that, yeah. Joshua Wawa. Gotta get one of those. I'm thinking about getting a black eye for Jack eye for my little fella.
Oh, yeah, I got one for mine. I was wondering, do you think you can wear that to school?
I can't. There's no swear words on it or anything.
No.
Yeah, it's just like a black eye.
Yeah. I was going to send him.
No one's going to know what says Jack eye because it starts with an X. Like,
yeah, it was going to be like, what's that?
Xylophones?
Yeah. Yeah, it's different.
It is. I love it, though.
Speaking of Jack eyes, Florian Xhekaj got suspended a couple of nights ago.
Did he? I didn't see that.
Yeah, he missed his Bulldogs. The Bulldogs played yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That was his second game of his 2-game suspension. So he's got the time served now. But and his point streak came to an end because, well, the game that he got kicked out of.
Yeah, he didn't get a chance to get a point.
Yeah. Hit a guy from behind.
Yeah. I think I saw that. Yeah,
the guy was away from the boards too. Like,
yeah.
he wasn't right up against the boards, and he just
smoked him.
Steamrolled him, into the boards.
I did see that, actually. I didn't know he got... I saw that he was probably going to get suspended, but I didn't see that he had gotten suspended. But not surprised for that hit, yeah. It was kind of like a little bit slow, though. It wasn't like super fast. More like a push.
Yeah, he's just such a big guy down there.
And that's it. I mean, we talked about that with Mel Yu playing in the OHL, and like some people were like, maybe he'd stay for an overage year. But he's just so much bigger than everyone else. It's hard to get a feel for the hockey player when they can just kind of physically dominate their competition.
Yeah.
And you get into bad habits that way too, right? Because if you can skate your way out of problems, then you don't worry about getting into problems. If you can use your big frame to kind of get yourself out of trouble, then you don't worry about getting yourself into trouble. So it's you can easily develop bad habits that way. So I think it'd be good for Florian to move up playing the AHL next year. Like I said, it doesn't have to be that way. I'd like to see it personally.
Yeah, me too. It's more... And Arbor Xhekaj talked about that too. Like, he could get away with a little more. That was one thing that he noticed when he transitioned from the Ontario Hockey League and went pro. Like, the whistle's put away. You're not getting suspended. You can play your game a lot more. I feel like, obviously, that's going to happen for Florian too.
Yeah. We see a lot of times when people come over from university hockey, like NCAA hockey especially, it's like... It's not a rough and tumble game, or not as rough and tumble as the NHL game, obviously. Yeah. You look at Jaden Struble, has never been in a fight before. When if he was playing CHL, he would have been chucking them from the first day, right? So I mean, you see a big and talk about levels of play, and I mean, this is not even close to comparable. Like, I play in rec league here, and there was a seniors tournament here. I got picked up for a game the other day, and it went from you play rec league and there's like 2 good guys, 3 good guys, and then there's a couple of plugs, and it's slow, and you got all kinds of time.
Yeah. And
then you play in this tournament where everyone is good, and you got no time. I mean, that's just a small step. And it takes like 3 or 4 games to get adjusted, and you're like, geez, do I still remember how to play hockey or what? Like, but like, even that little jump.
That's crazy though.
It's like the speed is different, the pace is different.
Yeah.
The conditioning is different. Everything is that much different. It takes you a few games to adjust. And, so I mean, imagine making that jump at that level, when everybody is that good. And I was telling you, man, like, we played Andrew Sweetlands from here, from Bonavista. He played on our team. Who drafted Andrew?
Florida, wasn't it?
It was Florida, right?
Yeah.
He played in the AHL for a little while, and like, it didn't pan out for him, but man, hands. It's like, the level of play is unbelievable. He looks like he's not even trying. It was crazy. And just like, he always had hands. We played hockey together growing up.
Yeah.
But he went away when he was kind of like 16 or 17, I guess. And just unbelievable, man.
Oh, he's
the amount of talent there, and just makes it look so easy. And such a nice guy, too, which is nice.
He's really good at ball hockey, too.
He's ridiculous. They went away and won nationals and everything, man.
Yeah.
Ball hockey. Yeah.
I seen him. We played against him one time, and he was doing all kinds of freaky shit, like slapping the ball off the pavement, and the ball would go up over everybody's head. And then, like, as we're all watching the ball, when we look, it just lands and it's back on his stick, and he's behind everyone.
I've never seen anybody with a puck like this. And, like, little head fakes and stuff, man, he made defense just look horrible. We were just sitting on the bench just laughing a couple plays. It's just like, man, that's not even fair. It looked like a cheat code.
Habs should pick him up.
Man, and he's still in, like, wicked old shape, too. Like, he's my age. I mean, I'm getting old. Feels like I'm getting old anyways for hockey, and just ridiculous, man. A lot of good hockey players come out of Bonavista, man, for the size of it. Like, you're down here, and it's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, what, a couple thousand people in Bonavista?
Yeah, man.
A couple NHLers, a couple AHLers. It's nuts when you think about it.
Gary,
yeah, no doubt.
Us.
I mean, unrecognized talent. You don't recognize work ethic.
Oh, man. You know what? This time change got me all messed up.
Oh, it's bonkers, hey? I don't see the point.
I don't either.
Oh, come on. Who wakes up and be like, oh, I hope it gets dark at 4 o'clock today? Nobody.
We're already a half hour behind there, Newfoundland or ahead, whatever it is.
Depends on how you want to look at it.
Oh my God.
Kids are all messed up.
It was a nightmare waking up this morning.
Oh, it's brutal, man.
And it happened yesterday.
Yeah. Well, Saturday night I went out, had a few drinks, come home at 1 o'clock, went to bed at 2, which was actually 3, and then the baby woke up at 6:30. It was like 3.5 hours sleep. And a belly full of beer is not enough.
It's not good.
It's not enough.
Did you watch the Habs and Leafs game?
I watched part of it. I was at a party at the time, so we were I was chirping some Leaf fans at the party, though.
It's beautiful.
That's what I do.
It's awesome.
That's what I do.
Xhekaj and Reeves didn't happen, eh? Everybody that happens a lot, though.
A lot of build-up.
Sometimes there's a lot of build-up, and then nothing happens.
Well, I mean, for those guys, like the first time they did it and it happened.
Yeah.
And I think second time around, it's like, unless something happened. And the game didn't have a lot of bite to it.
Yeah.
Your video was priceless, though.
What's
you
that?
When you showed Domi chirping at, who was he chirping at?
Slafkovsky.
He was going at him like a madman.
Oh, yeah, he was.
And then the shift before that, Xhekaj was on the ice and he looked like a fucking puppy dog.
Yes,
He was
man.
just there like,
yeah.
not saying a word,
and the
not
whole
moving.
reason was because Xhekaj didn't have anyone yet.
Absolutely.
And if Domi would have went in, he was right in front of Joshua. And if Domi would have went after Wah, oh
100%.
man, he would have got creamed.
He would have got creamed.
Yeah.
And I mean, if Xhekaj had to grab him, Domi's the type he's probably not going to back down, just because.
Yeah.
And, that would have been, a Domi fight would have been fun to watch,
It
too.
wouldn't have ended well for Domi.
I don't think so either.
So.
He doesn't scrap a whole lot, but he doesn't back down either, generally
No.
speaking. But, that would have been something else. But it's just funny. And like I said, another way in which Xhekaj kind of influences the flow of a game. You know what I mean? And
Definitely.
that's unique to him. You know?
Yeah.
That's very unique to him. And I mean, I think his hockey play, as a hockey player, is getting better all the time as well.
7 shots on goal.
Yeah,
against
man.
The Leafs.
So, I mean, he's playing well. And that game could have easily won it. I mean, Tavares' goal was just a fluff goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like going to I mean, there's no bad goals, but that was a dirty one went in.
Yeah.
That happens sometimes. But just be hanging with that team. And like, if you're going to lose the remainder of the season, which they're going to lose more than they win for the rest of the season, there's no doubt about it. I don't mind those games, Montreal played a decent game. You got Slafkovsky picks up 2 points. They lose 3-2, but they don't score they don't get scored until the last couple of minutes of the game, so they're in it for the whole game. It's entertaining. I mean, I would have liked to beat the Leafs. Don't get me wrong. Even if it meant, I guess if it meant the hard draft pick maybe, and you had to put a gun, but it's hard to cheer against Montreal winning when they're playing against Toronto. Against anyone, but especially against Toronto.
Oh yeah, for sure. Michael Pezzetta got back into the lineup too, and he picked up. Jeez, I think he got 8 hits.
7 or 8 hits, yeah.
Yeah, man. In under 7 minutes of ice time.
Yeah,
that's pretty.
That's good.
If he got 20 minutes of ice time, I mean, this guy's hitting 20 guys.
Absolutely. Doesn't have a shoulder left on him after the game is over. I see Pezzetta in the dressing room just with ice packs on both of his shoulders after the game.
Yeah. Guaranteed big bags of McCain crinkle cut French fries on him.
You'll army is just picking one out and eating it out.
Probably. I wouldn't doubt it, man. But Jesse Ylonen sat out the game against the Leafs. Now,
He did.
Gary, I'm about to break your heart here. You've been very supportive of Jesse Ylonen.
Yeah. I've been waiting to see it.
You've always been in his corner. I don't know, man. I'm starting to lose faith. 40 games without a goal.
Yeah.
Ample time on the second power play unit, which is shit.
Yeah,
the
they
second
don't
power
do a
play
lot of
unit
time.
is trash.
It is trash.
But he's a part of it.
He is. He is part of the trash. He's going out with the trash.
He hasn't been good this season. And you know what? I'm about to break everybody's hearts this season because Raphael Harvey Bedard, too, has been underwhelming compared to last season. Like he kind of looked like he was going to be a Brendan Gallagher replacement. I know everybody's in his corner, and me too. I want to see him do good too. But
good for the team.
He's been underwhelming this season too.
He has played better lately. Puck hasn't been going for him, but he has been playing better lately. I find Ylonen I don't think his skill set translates very well to a bottom 6 role at all. You know what I mean?
No.
Not that I think he's good enough. He doesn't displace anyone in the top 6 right now in Montreal for sure. But I find his game just doesn't translate. Then he goes down to AHL, he plays in the top 6 role with offensive guys, and obviously a little bit more time and space.
And he does
well, right?
Yeah.
And he pulls the trigger on the power play. He's their guy. He's got a wicked shot. But in the NHL, if he doesn't play, it's like Pacioretty when they were going to call Pacioretty up, and he was like, "Listen, if you don't play me in top 6, send me back down."
Yeah,
which is ballsy.
That's what I'm saying too.
that's the only reason I didn't make it.
If you don't play me on the top lines, don't even play me.
Just send me back down to AHL. So I mean, for me, Ylonen's skill set translates that same way. Like we talked about, he's not going in there and wrecking bodies and hitting. He's just not doing that. And it's time when you need your third and fourth line to do that. Like, regardless of whether that's your game or not, if there's a hit to be made in, like, the Florida game, that was the tempo, that was the mood of that game. You got to finish your hits.
Yeah.
And, you don't go in and turn away just because the puck is gone. So, I mean, to me, Ylonen, he's not showing that he can do it at the NHL level right now. And if he can't do it at the NHL level, Laval could use him. So, I don't know.
I'm just wondering if he's going to... Isn't this his contract year?
It might be, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they sign him.
Just let him on, because he'll be an RFA. They got to qualify him.
Yeah.
I mean...
They might qualify him.
I think they'll qualify him. I think they'll sign him, and they'll get him they'll get him for a song. They might only do a 1 year or 2 year deal. And then they might look to move him at some point. But it's tough, right? Because then he's waiver, he's no longer waiver exempt and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if he's waiver exempt now. Is he waiver exempt now? I'm not sure. Not something I've looked at, but I know they haven't sent him down or tried to send him down, so it hasn't come.
He'd probably be sent down if they could send him down.
Yeah,
maybe.
Because I think someone would take a swing at him.
Yeah,
like I don't think he'd clear waivers. I think there's an organization probably doesn't have enough, more, I won't say elite talent because he doesn't fit in that bill for sure, but that he would feel a need in them and they could give him a chance. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's not going to be what I thought maybe he could have been for sure. I had some hopes. I mean, he was one of those guys who was playing Europe forever and you're waiting for him to come over and he's putting up the numbers and kind of like Oliver Kapanen now. Like Oliver Kapanen's over there and you see him every now and then. He's putting up good numbers. He plays up the middle. He plays with, a lot of smarts and stuff like that. And you're just waiting for him to come over to see if it translates or not. And so you hope it does, because if not, you spend all that time. Time waiting and following this guy.
It sucks for you too, because I know everybody can't see us, but Gary's been wearing a Ylonen jersey every podcast we've done so far.
I even learned how to pronounce his name properly. I think. Maybe. For now, until they change it again.
On a more positive note, though, Alex Newhook, man, since his return from injury, he's got lots of energy.
Yeah, absolutely. He looks great, man.
Oh, yeah, he's been doing good.
The shots looks fantastic. He scored a couple, really kind of bang plays. That one Slafkovsky assistant on the other night was a laser beam. I don't know what the Leafs defense was doing. He just walked right down Main Street, man.
Lift him along.
It's like, all right, you come on in. It's like the Newbie special or something. I don't know. But that was I couldn't believe that. But I mean, he's capitalizing on his chances. He's using his speed. And I mean, I don't think he's perfectly suited to play center. Ideally, I don't think he's playing center in Montreal. And Doc kind of comes in and plays a center role and he goes back to the wing. But he's been playing good.
He's been good.
He's fast, man.
Yeah. He like the second line, when he was injured, there for a while, the second line was non-existent.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no secondary scoring at all.
And now they got Newhook and Anderson and Wawa too. Wawa's been playing pretty good too, man. He's picked up a couple of goals.
Absolutely. And I mean, he had one call back the other night. He scored one. Yeah. He got one call back.
That was a nice one though. A lot of effort on that goal.
Oh man. But I mean, he plays, and I kind of compared him to Nick Suzuki there the other day. And don't get me wrong, the offensive upside is probably not to that same level.
The IQ,
but the IQ, man, and how he finds space for himself, and similarly, not the best skaters. Although if you compare his skating now to when they drafted him, it's night and day. Seems like a guy who was knocked for his work ethic when they drafted him has done nothing but work hard and get better since.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he'll carve out. I don't think he ever goes back to the AHL again. For me, he's there.
No.
And a middle six forward who can play up and down, between your second and third line and give you some offense. We talked about, if you're looking long term and team success, you got to have depth, right? You got to have that. You got to have the guys who are going to score your big points, and you got to have guys that are going to contribute. And I think come playoff time and down the road, he's going to be a guy who contributes in our middle six and makes a difference. So I like him. And I mean, he's a fan favorite. He's a Quebec-born player, which is great to see in the lineup, and a guy who can kind of play under that pressure and produce. There's nothing not to like about it.
Second line's clicking right now. They got a Quebec-born player. They got a Newfie-born player. Everybody's happy here.
It works good.
It does, doesn't it? Right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like Jig's dinner poutine.
Man, it actually sounds pretty good.
That's the thing.
Oh, man.
But no, man. I mean, there's a lot of positive. I mean, you got to look for positives in a season like this.
You do.
You got to, right?
And you really got to look for it.
Yeah, right? You're just needle in a haystack type of looking, right? So, I mean, stuff like that, Slafkovsky.
2 points against the Leafs.
Absolutely, which is always good. If he turns into a Leaf killer, that'd be I mean, that's just one more reason to like the kid.
Yeah.
While playing well, Suzuki's still rolling. I mean, he didn't have a point, but their line dominated the Matthews line, which nobody says. Like, that's not a thing that happens very often.
Yeah.
And they did, So, I mean, if you look long term, like, that's great to see. You can control, the opposition and guy who's probably on pace for 70 goals. But, you know what I mean? Even if there was no Marner, which is the Leaf excuse of the day. Excuse du jour.
Man, you know what would have been hilarious, though? Imagine if Domi, when he was yapping at Slafkovsky, right? I don't know why, I thought about it, and I just thought it would have been so funny. Imagine if Slafkovsky actually dropped the mitts with him and just, like, beat the dome right off of him.
Just tuned him up.
Oh,
he's a big boy, man.
He is.
He's 6'4", and he's like 230 something now, I think, or maybe 220 something. He maxed at 240.
I know.
Like, that's a big lad.
Imagine how much goulash he can eat. That's a lot of goulash.
Philip plays Rick Hank and he says he stuffs his turkey with goulash.
Oh, man. We got to get him out of here.
Don't mention any names just in case. But,
stuffs his turkey with goulash.
And boils his bologna.
What a guy, man.
Yeah.
Guy's a legend.
Shoot puck deadly, too. So maybe that's key. Get some goulash.
Josh Anderson's got to start doing that.
Oh, it wouldn't hurt, man. I'll send him up some bologna and goulash. He can buy his own turkey.
Yeah.
Postage is expensive.
We can't afford that in the Fix podcast. I can't. All the beers I've been after paying.
That's right.
Jeez.
You're going to have to come up with a better beer bet of the week. You didn't even win your one tall boy for Colin White doing anything. Like, he didn't get a penalty, he didn't get a point, he didn't get...
All he had to do was something.
He got a shot.
He got injured at practice.
You're cursed.
That doesn't count.
I'm not betting against anybody good.
I just talked about him and he just got injured at practice.
Last time you bet on Pizzetta and he missed like 7 games, never played.
That was bullshit, though. I'm still pissed about that one.
I think the trade deadline did make a difference there. It had to.
I still don't like it. Still not happy.
That's so funny.
I get raked every bit lately. Last season it was the other way around. I was kicking your ass.
Yeah. No, I was putting up some ridiculous bets last season.
You were.
Yeah. I was betting on Jonathan Drouin and I don't know who else, but it wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. Drouin's not around anymore.
Yeah. Like every now and then you get the Jonathan Drouin tweet, hey, and he's playing decent in Colorado.
Lekkonen's been playing good over there.
Lekkonen's playing good.
They love that guy.
Absolutely. A lot of people still kind of are less and less happy with the Lekkonen trade all the time. And I mean, I love Lekkonen. I wouldn't mind keeping him. But at the end of the day, like, do you draft so high over the next couple of seasons? Or last couple of seasons if you got Lekkonen in your lineup? Like, he makes that big of a difference defensively and, to the score sheet sometimes. So, if you're pro tank, I don't think you can be anti-Lekkonen trade. Because I don't think you don't tank so hard with him in the lineup.
And you really don't know what Justin Barron is going to become either, right?
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of people that are high on, like, aside from Canadiens fans, that were high on Justin Barron, right? Sidney Crosby speaks highly of him.
Absolutely.
A lot of people do. And we don't know what he's the youngest of these guys.
Yeah, he's super young. He's right-handed defenseman, which was a whole other organization. So, I mean, I'm still, like, I think you can like Arturi Lekkonen and not dislike the trade, you know what I mean? So I don't mind. I still don't mind the trade. And I wish him well. Like, he's one of those players where I'm still rooting for him. Not Spiri Kakanyemi so much. And he's horrible, eh? Like,
oh, man. I know.
1 goal in his last 20 or something like that. And it's glorious. It's just glorious.
It's great, yeah. I just wanted to fall so bad. I can't help it.
I know, it was awful. It's horrible. But it is. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Because, I mean, he was the catalyst behind all those knee-jerk reactions from Bergman that summer. Like, that kind of really set the organization back. Like,
oh, yeah.
They immediately trade that for Christian Dvorak, and then there's, I mean, it was just, there was a lot went on that offseason that I feel like the whole Kakanyemi thing kind of spearheaded it all.
For sure, man. So, I've got a beer bet of the week.
Do you?
I've got one picked out, man. Everybody's going to hate me for this one because it involves Uri Slafkovsky, so he's guaranteed to have a shit week.
I don't know. All right.
I'm going to bet.
Yeah.
Uri Slafkovsky picks up 2 goals this week.
All right. Next 3 games, is it?
Yeah, 3 games.
All right.
He's going to have 2 goals in 3 games, and we're going half case there because I can't afford anything more here.
And you got to win at least a little bit back. Tom ain't going to do it.
Oh, yeah. Like, I had to put a mortgage up, remortgage the house then. It was bad.
You were drinking beer and gas this week.
Oh, man. I walked here this morning.
You looked a bit out of breath when you came in.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. This was a lot of fun.
It was.
Well, it always is.
It's always a good time.
It's always a good time here
It's
at the
always
Fix
a good
Podcast.
time,
Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as we enjoy kind of doing it. If you did, we're on YouTube now, like I said. Hit like, subscribe, leave a comment, ask a question, make fun of Junkie if you want to.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
Make
absolutely.
my day.
And Junkie is wearing a deadly Joshua Wawa t-shirt for anyone who's out there right now. It's a beauty. I'll see if maybe I'll take a picture and put
Someday
it up on Twitter.
this is going to be on video. This is going to be
Absolutely. We're going to do it eventually. You're going to see our beautiful faces. We're going to unveil what Junkie looks like for the world. And
I'm going to wear a paper bag.
It's going to blow people's minds.
It is, yeah.
Anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed it. From Junkie and GK.
Peace. We're out of here.